I believe we're at the very beginning of a very exciting shift in the markets. Investors are finally beginning to rotate out of overextended mega cap stocks like Nvidia and the NASDAQ 100 into historically undervalued small caps, with the Russell 2000 or IWM being the easiest example of that. So, in this video, I want to talk about why there is always a bull market somewhere. And in this case, it's kind of a double-sided bull market, because I want to talk about how you can short this trend in big tech, how you can short plays like the NASDAQ 100, or as I'm going to talk about, the 3X leverage ETF on the NASDAQ, which is the TQQQ, and also how you can long or buy call options on the IWM or the Russell 2000. We'll also be taking a look at Bitcoin, just because I feel like we got to take a look at Bitcoin and talk about the macro environment, as well as price targets on all of the names that we're going to be discussing, of course. This week hasn't been easy, but if you keep a cool head on your shoulders, if you stay rational, then this setup is one that I personally am so excited about, and I hope you guys are excited about too. So I'm pumped to talk about all these names. We'll also do a little bit of celebration, because it was a massive week over at Waves Capital. Steak and sushi is absolutely on the menu this weekend. And yeah, I'm really just excited for the future. So that's the video, you guys. We're going to kick it off by reading over the CNBC Pro article titled "Small Cap Rally Has Legs," says Citi's stock strategist Scott Kroner. Wow, it's like a tongue twister. And then we'll dive into the charts. Okay, take a look at the NASDAQ, Russell 2000, and Bitcoin. So after a difficult 2 years for small caps, the sector finally appears on path for a comeback, according to Citi Research head of U.S. strategy, Scott Kroner. The small cap benchmark, sorry, this didn't highlight, I don't know why, but the small cap benchmark Russell 2000 index is up 4.3% week to date alone, amid a 9.4% rally in July. As investors become more enthusiastic on the prospect of forthcoming interest rate cuts, they've started to sell off mega cap tech names, which have led to the market rally in favor of the rate sensitive small cap sector. Kroner told CNBC's Squawk on the Street that he believes the sector has super attractive absolute and relative valuations as the Federal Reserve begins to loosen monetary policy. So, you guys, that is the primary macro catalyst that really kicked off this rally in small caps and kind of the sell-off in big tech that we've been expecting for quite a while. If you didn't watch the past few videos, just go check them out, or even just the beginning of them, because I kind of just summarized my macro thesis on why big tech was going to sell off, and again, we timed that pretty darn well. So, that being said, the NASDAQ 100, although we could see a bounce in the short term, given the fact that we've sold off pretty sharply at the NASDAQ just yesterday as I'm recording this on Thursday. On Wednesday, July 17th, the NASDAQ experienced its worst day, I think, since December of 2022, I'm pretty sure, which is a big deal. It's down 3%. Today, we kept going down. We bounced a little bit into Netflix's earnings, which just came out. They were all right. But a big factor that is on the horizon is the beginning of big tech earnings season, which Netflix just kicked off right before I sat down to record this, or I'm standing up to record this, I guess. And that, in my mind, is the real catalyst for what the next wave to the downside will be. Okay? So just looking at this chart right here, you can see that the NASDAQ has perfectly tested, as of today, the line of support on this long-term macro ascending channel, which has been in place since April of this year. We've successfully bounced off of this line of support. And if I'm being completely honest, it's very possible that we will end up bouncing up back to like the $488 region. I'm talking the Qs, of course. As I said in the beginning, I will talk about my put options on the TQQQ if you agree with this sentiment. These are the put options that I hold in my personal portfolio. But the NASDAQ 100, although we may get a short-term bounce, a little relief rally, some would call it, because that's what it's called, a bit of a relief rally maybe into the weekend. I don't think this lasts long. I don't think that this overall rally continues just yet. I do think that ultimately we will be seeing, as you can see right here, $465 by August 1st. And that's because I ultimately believe that we'll be playing out this head and shoulders pattern. A head and shoulders pattern consists of a shoulder, a head, and another shoulder, making it obviously a head and shoulders. So again, we may get a bounce, but ultimately I do think that in the week ahead, as you guys are watching this, even if you're watching at a later date, this could still be relevant. So let me know if you're watching this later on, if it panned out or not, or if I was completely wrong. Either is fine, but as long as it's accurate. But I do think we get a little bounce. I do think that we ultimately come back down once the shoulder line kind of plays itself out through the end of the month, through the end of July, and I ultimately think that we fall as about 3%, 2 to 3% from current levels at 480 down to a low of 465 to retest this prior yet to be tested high from the overall uptrend. Could we fall lower? Could this head and shoulders take us down to 450, 455? Absolutely. It's very dependent upon how earnings season goes and if Nvidia falls as hard as I expect it to. So again, you guys know where my money is, where my mouth is. I do have TQQ puts and Nvidia puts on deck that have been doing very well for us over Waves Capital. Again, as I said, we did just have a 7x day yesterday, or not a 7x day, but one of our put options 7x in a single day. Risky, but that's just the nature of the beast when you're trading some of these put options. And again, it really pays to stick to your guns and go against the trend. Okay, and that's always a takeaway that I like to emphasize is going against the grain, go against the trend, because that's really when you're going to make the money. Following trends will make you money, absolutely. But if you're looking for those life-altering gains, a lot of times they come when you're going against the grain and you fight that trend and catch, most importantly, time it correctly, because timing is everything in this game. Okay, so that's the NASDAQ. I do think that the NASDAQ comes down to, I will just say right now, fairly conservative 465. I think we do get some support if we continue to come down around 468, because there is a pretty large gap here, which is about 1.7 to 2.3% down from where we're sitting now. I do think this gap poses a little bit of trouble, but again, if trouble for the bears, that is, I do think we may see a little bit of a bounce there. But again, it's very dependent on earnings. Personally, I lean more bearish than bullish on earnings given the forward PE ratio of the NASDAQ 100 and S&P right now. It is historically high, and the economy is pretty soft. I don't think earnings are going to be very good. Netflix is all right, but stock is still down in after hours. So I think that puts just a good pulse on kind of the nature of how this earnings season is going to go. Okay, so next up, IWM. But before we do that, I got to talk about TQQQ puts. I'm not going to look at TQQQ because it is just a 3x leverage ETF of the NASDAQ 100, a bull ETF. So I will just say that in my personal portfolio, in the Waves portfolio, I have $72 TQQQ puts with an 8/9 or August 9th expiration. Okay, that is what I have. That is what I'm putting my money on. And because the TQQQ just is a leverage ETF of the NASDAQ, I simply just look at the NASDAQ's technicals to make my trades on the TQQ. So just if you guys are trying to, if you want to buy some of these puts, if you want to get in, wait for that little bounce I was talking about, maybe up to 485, and then just ride them down to the targets I just discussed. So 468 is going to be one of my targets. Right here, 471 is one of my targets. That's the top end of that gap. And my ultimate target is going to be 465. Again, we could fall lower, but as a trader, you lock in profits when you can. Don't get greedy. Just follow your plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to your price targets. And move on to the next winning play. And that's what we do over Waves Cap. So, again, you guys, cheers. If you are members of Waves Capital, cheers to an amazing week. Again, steak and sushi is on the menu. Absolutely. We had some amazing plays this weekend. Let's hope we can close out the week with an even better day. And yeah, just cheers to the weeks and months ahead, because this shift is so freaking exciting and so just right down our alley. Sharks over Waves Capital. We got the teeth sharpened. We are frenzying, and it's just been fun. These past few days have been so fun, and I'm pumped for what's ahead. Wore the Shark shirt in honor of an amazing week. So if you guys want to join Waves Cap, it's the first link in the description of the video. It's my complete portfolio and daily trade alerts and email newsletters. If you want these puppies in your email inbox every single trading day, every single morning, I put these out for you guys. And yeah, we talk about real-time price targets, real-time charts, and of course the trades I made that day and why. $15 a month, $40 for every 3 months. Try free if you want. The reason I do a free trial is because I'm so confident in the product I provide. and I trust you will be too. So if you do join, once again, it's the first link in the description of the video. I appreciate it if you sign up. I hope you're ready to hopefully make some money. But if not, I hope you enjoy this video. TQQQ, QQQ, down. Let's take a look at the Russell 2000. The Russell has been on an absolute tear, and there were, oh man, I wish I had some call options a week ago on the Russell 2000. Some of those were up like 10x. Even when I was talking about it like a week and a half ago, those things would have absolutely ripped. But that's okay. Plenty of the other small cap plays I have in the portfolio have been doing well as well. Anyway, the Russell 2000, as you can see, has been on a rampage, but we're getting a little bit of a pullback. That's why I mentioned in the beginning of the video that this market's a bit hard to trade. But I do think that as our boy, what's his name, Cronert, that's a hard last name. As our boy Cronert said, I do think that there is a good case for this small cap rally having legs. A lot of other analysts believe that. I've been calling for this for a long time. Haven't timed it perfectly, but we're timing it well. And I do think that this is the beginning of a sticky rotation, as I just alluded to. Okay, so although the IWM is pulling back, I do think that this pullback is temporary. And in the NASDAQ, I think that any bounce would be temporary. So in the NASDAQ, in big tech, in the S&P 500, I think that any bounce will be just a bounce prior to a continuation of the downtrend. And in the IWM, I think this pullback is just a pullback prior to a continuation of the overall uptrend. Because I do think that small caps have just reignited the bull market. If we zoom out here, we can see that the IWM is nowhere near its prior all-time high, while the QQQ and SPY sit well above their all-time highs, even after this pullback. So I do think, once again, capital will flow out of those overvalued tech stocks, those mega caps, the Mag 7 stocks, into small caps. And I do think that leaves a lot of upside potential for the IWM. So when it comes to call options, where I would buy call options on the IWM is I don't know if we'll see this. If we see this, I will absolutely buy calls. But if not, it's okay because I have plenty of small cap positions in the Waves portfolio and the options portfolio. So if we do pull back another 2-3% to, I'll say 212 to just play it safe. If we pull back to 212, I'll absolutely be buying call options on the IWM. And I'd probably go for some October calls just to play the longer term trend. Say like October 220 calls, October 225 calls is probably what I'd buy if we pulled back, just being straight. And that's because I do believe that over the coming months, the IWM can break to new all-time highs. Again, its prior all-time highs at 243. I do think that it's very, very possible that the IWM by the end of the year climbs up at the very least to test this line of conservative macro resistance. This is just a trend line that has been in play for many, many moons, many years. And if small caps really heat up throughout the third and fourth quarters, then I do think that it's entirely possible that we do see a 300 plus IWM by New Year's 2025. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Let's close it out with Bitcoin, and then we'll call it a day. All right, so Bitcoin is a lot of head and shoulders going on today, huh? Bitcoin is, looking good. Bitcoin is correcting with the rest of the market right now, but as far as the short term is concerned, we're just going to keep it kind of shorter term here, you guys. I do think that we play an inverse head and shoulders pattern play out an inverse head and shoulders pattern here. I do think that Bitcoin probably goes sideways into the weekend. Maybe it climbs back up, but I think that sideways slightly lower through this weekend is likely. I think that we probably bounce. I definitely don't think we fall below 62,000. I think we probably, as I just said 3 times, go sideways into the weekend. And then come the week ahead, I think we rally back up. We're still looking good, you guys. This trend is strong. And I think that at the very least, by August 1st, we will be seeing a $69,000 plus Bitcoin in order to test this line of long-term resistance. And this is conservative. Remember, if you want to look at absolute resistance, these are just what I call it. This is what I dub them perfectly. Absolute resistance would be this right here. Take us above 70K. Conservative resistance is what I personally trade upon because you always want to front run the competition when you're a trader. That's the game. That's game theory. So I will be trading, or I should say, I will likely be taking profits from my Riot call options position once or if we test this line of conservative resistance. Okay, so if we can break that, I'll definitely make another video when we do talk about upside targets from there. But until then, 6970K remains my short to medium term target for BTC. As always, if you want to know my daily take on all of my favorite plays like Riot, Bitcoin, all the small caps that we're trading, which I'm going to keep kind of low key just out of respect for existing members, then once again, that's the first link in the description of this video. Join the winning team. What are you waiting for? It will. If you were part of the team this week, your membership would have paid it off for life, kind of regardless of how much you were trading. So really exciting times ahead of us. Again, cheers to you guys who are already members of Waves Capital. Super pumped for what is on the horizon. And until next time, you guys, always remember, take action, make waves. Peace.